The Ford Mondeo is a handsome brute with its low nose, sleek headlamps, a sloping roofline that sort of blends into the rear end. It's a good looking thing, but you'd never call it posh though, would you? I mean, it's a Ford.
This one though looks a little bit more flash than normal. There's some extra chrome at the front, along the sides and at the rear. The paintwork has that deep lustre, and there's a different grille from other Mondeos.
It's a bit swankier in here too. The seats are piped and they have a strange hexagonal stitching pattern on them. And the dashboard is not covered in vinyl, but covered in really nice feeling leather. And also, when you start it up, you don't get a Ford badge on the screen, you get a strange word called Vignale.
Founded in the late 1940s, Vignale was an Italian coach builder and made bodies for exotic sports cars for Ferrari, Maserati and Lancia. Now though, it's the name chosen for a posh Ford Mondeo.
The brochure speaks of a world of Italian fashion and high-end living. But behind the Italian cappuccino facade, the Mondeo Vignale is entering the toughest place of the market, the corporate ladder-climbing world of the BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, the Audi A4 and the Jaguar XE.
Being the flagship Mondeo, the Vignale comes with that expensive-looking leather-covered dashboard, laminated windows, and noise cancellation software that's pumped through the speakers for a bit more peace and quiet, a 10-way electric driver's seat, ambient lighting, a Sony sound system, keyless entry and start, and a range of just 4 metallic body colours. The 8-inch colour touchscreen isn't the most intuitive on the market, and during our time with the car the system completely froze. There's also the steering wheel, which is covered in buttons. But these are small niggles because there's lots of storage. There's a big space in the centre console for your sweets, a large glove box with a shelf, 2 cup holders and door bins that pass the Carbuyer bottle test.
Back here, your high-flying passengers can really relax thanks to lots and lots of knee room. There's also lots of nice little storage places as well. There's a central cubby there, 2 cup holders, and the door bins have pockets that are large enough for water bottles. If you want to go on your exotic holidays, your winter holidays to posh places like Chamonix, there's a ski hatch in here and 60/40 folding rear seats as well for some extra boot room. One thing that isn't very good in here is headroom. Now, if I sit upright, you'll notice that my head is brushing against the ceiling, and it gets worse if you have a third passenger who happens to be an adult, because they're going to be sitting with their neck craned, because that's not very good. Another thing I need to make you aware of is you can have this car with optional rear inflatable seat belts. Now, it's just as the name describes, a seat belt with an airbag in it. Now, whilst it's a very clever feature, if you have child seats back here and they don't have an ISOFIX fitting and you have to rely upon the seat belt to strap and lash the child seat into the seat, this is a little bit difficult to stretch round and put into the buckle. But really, in your posh premium Mondeo, do you really want to have children back here mucking it up? Probably not.
The Vignale comes as a 5-door hatchback, an estate and a 4-door saloon. And thanks to the Mondeo being such a large car in the first place, this 4-door Vignale has more boot room than a BMW 3 Series, a C-Class Mercedes or a Jaguar XE.
I know what you're thinking, no ounce of extra chrome and posh leather can change what is, in actual fact, just a Mondeo. But wait a minute, because we Brits love nothing more than having a posh car on our drives. We like to look better than our next door neighbour, and the Mondeo Vignale taps perfectly into this British snobbery. I somehow feel better than all the other grasping lower classes in their run-of-the-mill Mondeos.
To match its exclusivity, there's just a small engine range, a 2-litre petrol hybrid, a 2-litre petrol and a couple of 2-litre diesels.
It's the 2-litre turbo petrol we've got here, and it's really, really smooth. And would you just listen to how quiet it is in here? You can't hear the amount of fuel this car is guzzling either, because let me tell you, it's not particularly economical. Now, claimed figures is around 38 mpg, but if I look at my trip computer, I'm getting 26 mpg, and that's terrible. It doesn't get that much better if you go for the hybrid, because that isn't particularly economical either. So you're left with the two 2-litre diesels, one with 178 brake horsepower and the other with 208 brake horsepower. They're a lot better, and even though they're not as smooth as this petrol, you are going to be getting closer to 50 mpg from them. The bad news for the Vignale is that BMW and Audi will sell you 2-litre diesel engines that can return in excess of 60 mpg.
Now, while the steering is direct, it doesn't have a huge amount of feel, and our car had the optional sport suspension, which is a feature you shouldn't go for because it's just too hard for a car that's supposed to be a cruiser. So with its Italian name and extra snazzy bits, the Vignale is a successful new range-topping trim level. Well done, Ford. Full marks, end of the review. Well, that's not quite the end. You see, Vignale is not a trim level. It's a new premium sub-brand, if you will. 5 new Vignale models will be on sale by 2017, and Vignale customers get a relationship manager for all their needs, a 24-hour customer support line, collection and delivery for servicing, and complimentary car washes.
But you'll really have to value the Vignale experience because it doesn't come cheap. Currently there are around 50 Ford dealers that have Vignale lounges, and it's here they will relieve you of between £29,000 and £33,000. To put that into some context, the current range-topping Mondeo, the titanium, costs around £4,000 cheaper than this Vignale. Go for the titanium X-Pack and you'll get virtually all of the equipment you get on the Vignale, and it's still £2,000 cheaper. Ford will also throw in privacy glass free of charge with the titanium X-Pack, but they charge an extra £200 on the Vignale. Why? Ford has pulled off quite a trick here because the Mondeo Vignale is a properly premium product. Whether it'll sway people out of their BMWs, Audis, Mercedes or Jaguars remains to be seen. But if you're at least intrigued by the Vignale, you can find out more by going on to carbuyer.co.uk or clicking on one of the videos, the types of cars you'll be overlooking. Click the video on the left for our review of the Ford Mondeo, or the video on the right for our review of the Jaguar XE. Click up there for our latest video and on our logo to subscribe.